Alright, hello once again. This is Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College, and as part of Rankin Technical College AWD, or Application and Website Development Program, and in particular the AWD1100 C# Programming Language Fundamentals class, I've been going over a series of video presentations that I'm creating based on the book for the class, which as you can see is Murat's C# 2015. There are 26 chapters in the book, and so far I have done the first 21. So it's time to jump into chapter 22, which again, this will be a very high-level overview of XML, or the Extensible Markup Language. We'll spend more time on 23 and 24, and a little bit of time on 25 and 26. Alright? Now I'm going to start this a little bit differently, and that is by showing you, and I'll try to remember to put this out there as well. I found some good resources, and of course there are tons of them out there. But as always, I'd recommend starting with the W3 Schools online tutorials, and they've got a very good XML online tutorial. Boy, this article right here is now 21 years old. A technical introduction to XML, which was basically originally done, I think, through O'Reilly.com. And that's how I learned this. At the school I used to teach at, one summer I was asked if I wanted to create a brand new class for students to take. So I asked students what they wanted, and several of them said, well, we'd like to learn this XML stuff. Alright, so that's where I started in there. If you want a free copy of the XML for Dummies PDF, that's right here. And there's about 115, 116 page introduction to XML by O'Reilly. That's right there. So to quickly show you what they look like, let's see. We've got, there's the technical introduction to XML. Not very graphical, as you can see. The online tutorial from W3 Schools. The XML for Dummies PDF, and this introduction to XML. Alright, so let's jump into this. Okay, how to work with XML files. Again, XML stands for the Extensible Markup Language. Now, years ago, before we had HTML5, we had HTML 1, 2, 3, and 4. After HTML4, they came up with another revision called HTML 4.1. And then many people involved with HTML said that it was a language that was past its time. And what people wanted to do, because of the fact that HTML really had only 100, 120 tags or something like that, that could be used only for a specific purpose, they wanted a language that was a little more multi-dimensional, for lack of better words. So the idea behind XML, which started as XHTML, was that you could create your own tags. That was the big thing about it. It was going to be the do-all, the catch-all, the whatever-all, and it was going to take the place of HTML. It caught on, yet it never really caught on. What I mean is it caught on, and it's actually still being used. But that said, I don't think it ever caught on the way people thought that it would catch on. Alright? For instance, when you hear about things like AJAX, which we don't talk about, I don't think, in this book, but we talk about in other classes. AJAX is an acronym that stands for Asynchronous JavaScript and XML. But much of the work that's done today with AJAX isn't done anymore with XML, it's done with JSON. So AJAX is kind of has changed in that it now is looked at as being just an acronym that really doesn't have a lot of meaning. Alright, so we've got what? We've got 3 applied objectives and 1 knowledge objective. Our applied objectives: use the XML writer class to write an XML document, use an XML reader class to read an XML document, use Visual Studio's XML editor to create and edit XML documents within a project. And our knowledge is to identify the following in an XML document: the XML declarations, start tags, end tags, root elements, parent elements, child elements, attributes, element content, and comments. So what they're showing here, and you can read it as well as me, is we've got data for 3 products. Now, I'm going to do something, and I have not looked at this yet, but I'm going to come in here and try to write my own XML just to show you what it would look like. All right, this is not going to be perfect by any means. I'll probably forget something, but I'm going to come through here and I'm going to say product code. All right, and on the next line I'm going to put in here A5CS, then product code. Oops. And we'll make this bigger. And this will be followed by product description. And here we're going to have Murox ASP.NET 4.5 with C#, 2012, and then finally we're going to have here product price 57.50. What I want you to notice about this, and again, there are probably going to be some opening and closing tags that I haven't shown you here, which is fine. But notice beginning product code tag, ending product code tag, beginning product description tag, ending product description tag, beginning product price tag, ending product price tag, and then the associated values for each one of these. So let's see how the author has done it here. Yeah, we need the XML tag up here. So what did I miss? Probably quite a bit, but just to show you. Whoops. All right. What we should have put at the top is what's referred to as an XML prologue. And there you put in XML, the version, and there's only been one version equal 1.0, and our encoding, which again here says that we're using the Unicode character set UTF-8, and everything is, it starts with a less than sign question mark, and it ends with a question mark greater than sign. All right, so we've got that. If we want to comment, XML comments look just like HTML comments. All right, and notice theirs are a little bit different. All right, I used product code, etc., product description. They didn't. But other than that, it really doesn't look very different. The key takeaway from this, though, is when you are creating XML and you're creating your XML tags, you can create your own tags. There are, the one time I had heard 200 or 300 different derivations of XML. You know, you could have XML, and think about it. What if I was a carpenter? Okay, so I'm a carpenter. Just pretend right now I wouldn't be, but just let's pretend for a second. And if I put in this, let me get rid of all this stuff here. Just move it up. Is that an HTML table, or is that a table with, you know, 4 legs type of thing? All right, so again, as always, it just would depend. All right, okay, let's keep going. So here's an XML document, and you can see how everything is set up. All right, So each XML tag begins and ends with what's called an XML declaration. It's also known as an XML prologue. As it says, it indicates the version of the XML standard being used and normally the character set being used. We already mentioned that if you're going to create XML comments, they're done and used just like HTML comments. All right. Elements. An element is a unit of XML data. Begins with a start tag, ends with an end tag. I showed you elements that had a product code, a product description, and a product price as an example. All right, so as it says, the start tag provides the name of the element and it can contain attributes. The end tag repeats the start name except it's prefixed with a slash. That's why hopefully you can start to see that in that way it is very similar to the way things are set up with quote regular HTML unquote. But you can name these tags anything you want. That's the key thing. Elements can contain other elements. The highest level element is known as the root element, and that's one place I did kind of screw up in the example I showed you, because I should have had up here something like product. All right, then probably moved each one of these over one. Oops. Oh, I guess it's not going to let me do it like that. And then ended it with an ending product tag, which looks just like the beginning one, except we have a slash there. And that's the root right there. And that root contains one, in the example in the book, they have 3 products. I only listed one of them here. Hopefully that's enough where it makes some sense to you. All right. So here, if it was called product and we put code equal, that would be an attribute. All right, for like person, height equal, person, weight equal, or eye color, hair color, etc. So if you use attributes and you use them like this, I don't know why they did it like this, but they did. Notice they've got description and price. They're not used the same way as the code is, but you would have the name of the attribute, an equal sign, and then whatever the value is that it contains in double quotes. All right, so when to use attributes instead of child elements? As it says, when you design an XML document, you're in charge. All right, 2 advantages of using attributes, as it says, are that they can appear in any order, and they're more concise because they don't require end tags. Okay, 2 advantages of child elements: they're easier for people to read and they're more convenient. All right, so what is the old saying? 6 of one, half dozen of another. All right. If you bring an XML document up in the XML editor inside of Visual Studio, you'll see you get the color coding. You can go in and add XML files to a project. You can open existing XML files in a project. You can edit XML files in a project. And one thing I had mentioned to you in a much earlier chapter, I don't remember which one it was, but if you start any comment line with 3 forward slashes, it becomes an XML comment. All right, and those are used quite a bit in C# to provide internal documentation. Here's some of the methods that you can use when you're writing XML. Here's code, as it says, that creates an XML document. Again, as I've already mentioned, you're just getting a few minutes worth of this. All right. I don't at all mean to undermine its importance. Okay. Is it still used? Yes. Is it still used as much as it used to be? Look that up yourselves, I guess. All right. Notice there's an XML reader class, and in many ways, this almost looks like you're reading the document object model. All right. When you look at some of the stuff that's in here. All right. that's just about it. And again, I realize you didn't get much out of this. Okay, did we get 10 minutes worth? Well, we got 15. What do you know? So I am going to come back, and in the next 2 chapters, we're going to spend quite a bit more time than we have on this, because we're going to go over chapters 23 and 24. Now, chapter 23 will be on the use of LINQ, which is an acronym that stands for line item query. Line integrated query. And chapter 24 will be on how to use the entity framework. So we'll spend more time on that. Now, I was going to go through a couple of examples for the entity framework, but I believe that rather than do that, because I already have done it for another class, I'm going to copy over the examples from another class, and I'm going to make those available in here. All right, so I will be back in a couple minutes to talk about how to use line integrated query or LINQ.